that something happened over the weekend that amplified that situation, and we will get to that. But it led to this week's big board, which got me thinking about different situations we've seen over the years, and that has given us the big board of awful pregame rituals. Like people love pregame rituals. People love this stupid stuff that players, coaches, but a lot of it is really, really dumb.
Yeah.
And so that's this week's big board, the big board of pregame rituals. So let's start off here. This one's not really destructive. It is very, very stupid. And it honestly comes from a very, very stupid man. So it made the big board. And that is number 5, the Grass Buffet by Les Miles to start every game. I don't know when exactly this got started, but sometime during his LSU days, Les Miles began eating grass from the field before the game. I don't know
weird
if at
ritual.
some point, given the way he spoke and given his overall mental faculties, that Les Miles started believing he was a cow and started grazing before the game. I don't know if this happened during the phase of marijuana legalization and Les Miles, being Les Miles, believed you get high if you just eat any random grass, and he didn't understand it had to be a very specific type that came from a dispensary. So he just started eating the field for some reason. I've never been able to explain this, but it became a sensation at LSU.
Yeah.
And I don't really get that because, hey, look, Louisiana has great food. Stop at the gas station and get some boudin. Don't eat the grass on the field. There's options, Les Miles. Like you could go to a crawfish boil, but instead you're stopping and eating some grass. And a couple of times he did it out of the end zone, like we're seeing pictured here. So that grass has got paint all over it. So again, not that Les Miles eating lead paint chips as a child would have been a shock, and he developed a taste for it, because frankly, he seems like a guy who's eaten some lead paint during the course of his life. But I don't really approve of this particular pregame ritual, and it was just awful.
It's ugly. I mean, every now and then, I guess as a kid, some guy would be sucking on a blade of grass, so you'd go ahead and try it. It's awful. I mean, there's just like no point to it. And as you said, I mean, here's a guy that could be getting food, straight from Bourbon Street if he wanted it. And why not a grilled oyster as a tradition instead of this? That is a bizarre and peculiar pregame ritual. All right, so that's number 5 on the big board.
Number 4 comes to us from a Major League Baseball Hall of Famer. And of course, we know Major League Baseball is renowned for its weirdo pregame rituals and their beliefs on what they do when they're trying to get out of a slump or whatever. We could go a number of ways here. We were originally going to do the whole Wade Boggs eat some chicken and have sex with that chick from Hooters thing. But then we realized, like, for Wade Boggs, that was actually all just a cover for his serious alcohol problem, and that his real pregame ritual was drinking like 27 Coors Lights before the game started. So we're going with a more modern reference that I nonetheless feel is somewhat negative, and this started in his early days with the Oakland A's, and that is Jason Giambi's pregame ritual of strutting around the locker room in a gold thong, which is bad enough for anybody to do, because let's be honest, the banana hammock isn't a good look. I don't care if you're European. I don't care if you're built like Fabio. I don't care what you look like. This is not a good look for any man. But when you have done so much HGH that your forehead starts to slope like a caveman, you can't tell me that hasn't also done some damage to your junk. Like, there's no way a gold thong, little tiny stripper thong, was a good look for Jason Giambi at this stage of his career. And honestly, if I'm another dude in the locker room, I don't care how lucky it is. That's not something I need to see 162 days a year.
No, that would affect you.
I don't really want to see you strutting around in your gold banana hammock there, Jason Giambi. It's not a good look. Find a better ritual. Like, honestly, this is, again, goes to the weirdness of baseball players overall. Like, all the San Francisco Giants hated Barry Bonds because Barry Bonds didn't want your sweaty, disgusting ass sitting in his nice chair that he made the Giants. And this really upset Barry Bonds' teammates. But nobody got upset that Jason Giambi was strutting around in a thong. Like, of the two, I'd much rather just let Barry have his chair than have Giambi going around like a girl in a Teddy Riley video. All that's missing is the saxophone, strutting around in his odd color thong.
Yeah, evil, side effects of too much juice, I think, inspired that. Though, is that not portrayed, that scene in Billy Ball, where he's, acting like a complete loser? And, he gets cut like or
Oh,
traded
you
the
mean
next day?
Moneyball?
Moneyball,
In
yeah, yeah,
Moneyball?
yeah.
Okay,
Why did I say Billy
that
Ball?
was not Jason. That was Jeremy Giambi
Oh, Jeremy, okay.
in the movie
So they
Moneyball. It was the
both did
younger
this thing?
brother. No, and maybe they did. Maybe they took what Jason's pregame ritual was and transferred it on to Jamie
Yeah.
to Jeremy. Jeremy, by the way, for those of you who remember, was the one who was actually safe on Derek Jeter's totally bogus tag highlight.
All right, that's number 4. I mean, so far, very bizarre rituals that I would not have thought of. I thought that there would be one on this list for sure, but
Well, this may be the
there's
one
still 3
coming
left.
up
Yeah,
because we experienced down here, and that was number 3. LeBron giving his
there it
teammates
is.
cancer by
Yeah.
throwing up talc before every game.
What is that? Yes,
Like,
exactly.
really, LeBron, if you didn't think that maybe there was a connection that Chris Bosh caught a weird lung disease after strutting your way through your throwing up talc every day for 2 years,
Yeah.
maybe you should have paid attention because, like, a year after LeBron and Bosh went down, and people did actually make this connection at the time and say something to the effect of, I wonder if this is anywhere connected to the fact that LeBron throws up a cloud of talc before every game. Let's remember, about a year after that, one of the biggest class action lawsuits in history took place when Johnson & Johnson got sued because they were putting asbestos in their baby powder, or they were mining their baby powder from a source that had asbestos in it, and caused cancer in millions and millions of, not millions, hundreds of thousands of women across the world. Did you maybe put that together, LeBron? That maybe I should stop throwing this up in the air because it might not be produced by Johnson & Johnson. I don't know who's making the NBA's talc that LeBron likes to throw in the air. But, if one major man, it's not like Johnson & Johnson is Joe's brand baby powder that you only find sold out of a white van on the corner of Commercial Boulevard. Like, Johnson & Johnson's a major manufacturer. Maybe I should stop throwing this stuff in the air and creating a giant cloud for everybody. But nope, LeBron's kept on doing it. As far as I know, Bronny does it. Like, I don't know that I would, after the Johnson & Johnson lawsuit, keep throwing up a cloud full of asbestos. Now, if it's possible that somehow LeBron has only affected those around him, it's probably because LeBron is obviously superhuman and maybe has no problem with asbestos. Maybe LeBron can just eat the old insulation with asbestos, literally just chuck it down 3 times a day and have no problems. Whereas, Chris Bosh develops blood clots in his lungs. Again, I think that would have been a clue to maybe stop doing that, LeBron.
Degenerate Friday is the only place that would have you laughing at the concept of blood clots. And Chris Bosh. You're onto that. I mean, I had a feeling that was going to be on the list. That was the first thing I thought of when you put up the list for this week's big board, and the title. And I thought, that's got to be on there. So that's number 3. LeBron, talcum powder, and endangering everybody in the immediate. I mean, these are the expensive seats, too.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, why not just have them snort meth as they're sitting there ingesting all of this asbestos?
Right? If you're paying like $10,000 to see if you're like Spike Lee and Woody Allen, and this jerk off throws up a cloud of asbestos in your face, I feel like I'd probably sue. That's me.
If I'm Lou Adler and Jack Nicholson, I'm thinking, hey, listen, LeBron, knock it off, will you? And stop right now. All right, that's number 3 on the list of pregame rituals that absolutely stink.
Thought that one might be relevant. You should absolutely, if you know me, know this one. And that is, I'll tell you, the subject of number 2 is Bears linebacker Brian Urlacher, whose pregame ritual was eating 2 cookies. Now, this story has been well circulated over the years, but they never specify what kind of cookies.
Yeah.
But there is a little hint. They say, number 1, it was always Girl Scout cookies, and number 2, that the Bears had to install a refrigerator in the locker room to keep Brian Urlacher's cookies in, which gives you a pretty good hint.
Yes.
Number 2, Brian Urlacher was defrauding America by propagating Thin Mints throughout the Bears locker room. The worst cookie in the history of humanity. The scam that the Girl Scouts have been perpetrating on America for decades and decades.
It's criminal. Yeah.
The concept that York peppermint patties stuffed with shredded newspaper is the greatest cookie in the history of the world. You know how you know it's a bad cookie? Because they always tell you, oh, it's really good if you put them in the fridge. It's really good if you freeze them.
Stick them in the freezer.
If you got
and you always tell them to stick it up your ass.
It's not a good cookie.
The professor, have you been witness to this, Louis, where the professor tells some 8-year-old to stick those cookies up?
Yes, he did.
Multiple times.
He did it last week. That landlubbers, they were in front. I'm like, oh, that's not good.
Wearing a little green or brown uniform, whatever it is that
the crying, and he's
Girl
like,
Scouts wear.
Yeah, we're scam artists.
Little beret.
Just on this alone, I would have put Zach Thomas into the Hall of Fame before Brian Urlacher.
Oh, absolutely.
Because not only was he at least as good, if not a better player than Brian Urlacher was, but you don't see Zach Thomas running around trying to force America into this the love of this disgusting cookie. Like, I've seen Zach Thomas out. Zach Thomas has got good taste. Zach Thomas likes a beer, some good sushi, or good piece of fish. You don't see him running around trying to foist Thin Mints further down America's throats.
Somebody's got to do it, I guess.
This is actually the worst pregame ritual because you are conning America into more goddamn Thin Mints. One of the biggest financial crimes in American history. I would say, in many ways, the Girl Scouts are much more guilty than Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff only stole money from like 100 rich people. That really, the guy on the Mets, Wilpon, he already had too much goddamn money. Who cares if Bernie Madoff stole from Wilpon?
Yeah.
But how many just regular working class Americans have been ripped off by the Girl Scouts, forcing these goddamn horrible cookies down our throats?
Paying $5 for
year after year after year. I'm sorry.
For $5
they're real good.
Yeah.
Just freeze them. Oh, okay. Guess what? If I have to prep a goddamn cookie, it's not a good cookie.
Yeah, very true.
And I admit they're not a great cookie.
That's number 2. I dodge those people. Trust me, Professor. I'm no better.
What's funny is Ken actually will buy the cookies, but he always has a remark.
No, I'm surprised he doesn't buy them out and throw them out.
I don't buy the Thin Mints. I buy the Samoas. I buy the Tagalongs. I buy the good ones. I don't buy this crap. If all they've got is at the Thin Mints, that's when I start parading them.
Well, it would be likely they would be sold out of everything else if they were.
They're always sold out of the Samoas, and they always have 400 boxes of Thin Mints.
Plentiful.
The troop mom with the Pall Mall, who's playing online bingo or something.
Yeah.
The Thin Mints are very good. Get the Thin Mints.
A little bit of a lipstick smear. Yeah.
Everybody loves the Thin Mints.
All right, that's number 2. So topping the list of pregame rituals.
Number 1 is. It's got to be Alabama basketball. What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Again, it's not that they just did a pat down on this player before. It's that the coach acknowledged that he knew about it, and then when asked about it, said, well, I didn't really understand it. They told me it was like they do at the airport with the TSA. Yes, that's called a pat down at the airport when the TSA does it.
And how great of them to bring it up. I mean, in the light of what happened there, that they would, figure that this would be a good thing. And the fact that they even informed their coach about it shows how idiotic.
Again, and it shows it's like, you're a basketball coach. How many plane flights have you been? You don't know what the TSA does when you go through the line?
Yeah.
Like, again, I don't understand this coach. I don't understand this program. I have no idea what's going on with this team. But what the hell, Alabama basketball? And that's number 1 this week is the pat down. I don't want to get distasteful with this story because, again, there's a dead mother involved.
Yes.
But, this whole Alabama basketball program has to be run by the stupidest people in the history of college sports, or at least the most tone deaf.
The AD comes off as particularly, forceful in terms of, his opinion on this. I don't know. Right. We thought the kid should play. I mean, that was already controversial enough that, any other student has gone from the school. That's a part of the scene, and they'll investigate the facts later on. But excellent pregame ritual there. No, good
All
stuff,
right.
as always. That's it? You got to run?
Yeah, I got to run. Everybody
Okay.
have a good one. We'll see you next week.
All right,
You're a
Ken,
great
man,
American,
thanks.
the professor.